Hello, team. It's time for the Daily Detangler. All right. Overcoming speed bumps. What do I mean by speed bumps? Well, you'll find out. Has to do with the backward bike, riding the backward bike. And if you remember Dustin, he encountered a lot of speed bumps. And there were phases that he went through as he was learning by doing. And I'm going to explore in this detangler what are Dustin's tangles along the way. And this is in response to a conversation that Catalyst and I had about the challenges with learning by doing and how do the tangles kind of play out as we try to do something new. And because there's a video recording of Dustin documenting his process, and I've done the work in the past to also document what I was seeing with Dustin's effort, and then also through my own journey of learning by doing detanglers. Let's see what comes out. And Dustin shared in that backward bike episode that knowledge or knowledge of something, acquiring the book smarts, if you will, does not equal actual understanding and understanding of what might happen in the real world and what happens when you get on, in this case, the backward bike. So what I did in a while ago was actually map out the different phases that Dustin went through. So I'm not going to read all these. I just wanted to show my work and say, by documenting his journey and how he created the video, he explained his backstory. He also explained his with curiosity, what was he curious about. He also kind of shared some of the objections that he had. So first he had to relate to this bicycle, and then he jumped on and started doing it. And during that process, he stumbled and he fell and he learned by doing, and it wasn't pretty. And some of the things actually got him super frustrated. And yet he kept engaging and kept learning by doing. He tried to rationalize his way through it. He tried to focus more, right? And it just didn't work. He could not ride the bike. And he stumbled and fell and, tried to figure out what was going on. Through that process, then he broke it down. He broke it down to kind of the fundamental truths of riding a bicycle. And he broke it down to its micro level first principles, if you will. And those basics of riding a bike led him to realize that not only were the algorithms different and the approach completely different, and the synapses in your brain needed to fire differently, it also required action, engagement, and doing. And the more he did it, the more he realized that no matter what, nobody could ride the bike. And he proved it. And he said, you may think you can ride this bike, but I guarantee you that you cannot. And in that journey he documented, he made a choice, right? What did he do in that journey? He could choose to walk away and say, I'm not going to do this, or he could choose to engage and figure out what happens when he's curious about it, right? So he made a choice to continue to figure it out. Once he made that choice, he engaged in trial and error, a lot of trial and error. And he could feel his brain slowly starting to get it over the course of many months. And then one day he couldn't do it, and the next day he could. And it was because he did the trial and error and he tested it out, and he kept a very positive mindset throughout the whole process. He thought it was fun. He thought it was energizing, and he could feel himself making progress and learning along the way. And even though it was hard, he kept testing and testing and trying. And began to make visible progress and could actually feel his brain getting rewired. And then he had his son do it. And his son had to go through the same process he did. And his son had to make a commitment to seeing an astronaut. Basically, the deal was, if you can learn how to ride the backward bike, I'll take you to see a real live astronaut. And Dustin made a commitment as well to figure out if this could be replicated, to see if he was scientifically able to replicate this, and then ask the question of why. And that's a pretty deep commitment, to put your own kid through the same exercise and see what happens. This experiment on a live human, his own child, right? So when I plot this out and I think about these things, there's some frustration, there's some learning that happens, there's this idea that I'm going to go to Amsterdam and I'm going to share this with others, and I'm going to relearn, and I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to go 2 levels deep, right? I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to figure it out by trying. I'm going to stumble and fall a lot, and then I'm going to commit to figuring this out and put my own son through it. And then I'm going to share what I'm learning by modeling it out. And modeling that out allows me to even go deeper. And he actually became 2 levels deep. He became, not only did he know how to ride a regular bike, then he unlearned how to ride a bike, and he learned the backward bike, right? And then he actually, in this scene, learned how to go back to a regular bike, and he had to reteach himself that as well. And it took him 20 minutes, but then he learned how to ride a regular bike again, and he shared that. And one of the things he said at the end of the video is, I learned that truth is truth no matter what I think about it. So that's just the documentation of the journey that he went through, and the work that I had done previously to map that out. And one of the things that I wanted to do in this detangler is to try to call these phases of the journey out and say, okay, what roadblocks or speed bumps did Dustin have along the way? And then what did he do to overcome those speed bumps as he was learning by doing? And as he was engaging in learning over time and engaging over time, he went through a disruption. He went through this phases of a dip in performance, where he could not ride the bike because he was trying something new. And when he's trying something new, he actually fell off a lot. And so he hit that slope, right? As we call it, the slope of disillusionment right here. He hit that. And then he learned how to figure out how to ride it. And then he shared it at the end. So in the first part of his journey, he related to this challenge. He thought it was funny, and the bike was a backward bike, and he explored what that meant. And then he hopped on, and he fell and he stumbled because it's new. And he, stumbled in a way that was fun and engaging. And, maybe we laughed at him, but because it was new, he knew he was going to stumble at it, and he got curious as to how to get through it. And then he made a choice. The more he stumbled, the more he fell. At some point, he had to figure out if he was going to continue to put himself through it so that he could learn how to pop out the other side. And he made this choice, right? He tried to figure out, what am I going to do? And then he had to test out his ability to be flexible and agile, so to speak, and figure out how to apply what he's learning along the way through a trial and error process, and test and learn by doing. And then at some point, he committed that to the new way. He popped through in a way that became the new normal, so to speak. And that commitment that he had became the new way of riding. And through testing and learning, he committed to figuring out how to ride the bike differently, and eventually one day he could. So what creates that ability to ride that bike? How did he overcome these speed bumps, right? The speed bump of, how do I relate to this? The speed bump of, what do I do when I stumble? The speed bump of choosing to stick with it. The speed bump of testing out what's learning, testing the conversations, testing in front of people very publicly, so to speak. and then testing out a commitment to make it the new way, and then testing out or this the speed bump of overcoming the speed bump of sharing it with others. So if I look at these 6 speed bumps, I can plot these out, and let's take the relate, and let's look at what he did and what he might be tangled on with that relate speed bump. And I can lean into the different perspectives that I see as he's trying to do it. And I think he's using a lot of the perspectives that we have, right? The conceptual, the emotive, the pragmatic, the active and engaging perspective. And these are some of the things that he did, right? On the left. And that's just, again, to tie it back to the backward bike video. These are observations I made from the backward bike video. But the purpose of here is to say, okay, when Dustin is relating to the new, what did he perhaps have to detangle? As he's relating to the new, what did the what time tangles do I see? What more tangles or control tangles or right tangles or waist tangles? Now, these are observations, and what I had to do is to say and use myself, right? So I'm observing what he's doing, and I'm seeing a lot of his positive attitude and how he's engaging, but I actually don't know exactly what's going on in his head, but I can see what his behavior is, and he is also sharing and verbalizing what he's thinking. And I can also bring in my own experience, because this is the exact same experience that I went through when I was learning the detanglers. And I've gone through my own backward bike kind of experience. So based on that, what happens when we're relating? So what am I seeing when Dustin's relating to the new, and what happens when I'm relating to the new? And it's like, sounds like things like in this box. And if I take the tangles, when I'm relating to something new, I don't have time to understand all the details I need to understand about the new thing. I can't invest the time needed to become an expert when I'm doing something new. These are time tangles that hold me back. These are speed bumps. In this speed bump of relating to something new, this time tangle can slow me down. So how do I relate to something new faster, so to speak, would be a great follow on to this. But what I'm trying to do is to make these observations one at a time in each of the 6 areas or speed bumps of doing something new. And I'm going to use the tangles to do that. So when I'm relating, or when Dustin's relating with the more tangle, he might be thinking, well, I need more information. I need to understand more about how the gears work on the steering apparatus. Or he might be saying, look, I don't know what I'm going to get out of this. I'm out. I'm not sure what the payout is. On the control tangle, he might be thinking, look, ooh, that looks dangerous. As I'm relating to this idea of changing the bike and the steering on the bike, I could get hurt if I try it. And also I could look stupid in front of others. On the right tangle, it's look, if people start asking me how this is going to work and try to explain what the value of it is, I'm not going to have any answers, because I'm just trying to relate to this thing myself. So that's going to tangle me up. And then I can't really explain what I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure it out, right? So I can't be right. I can just be curious. So people ask me questions about how does it work specifically, I'm not sure. And then, from a waist tangle, Dustin might think, I don't know why I would try and do this and look stupid. I don't see how this relates to my job as an engineer. I'm an engineer. What does riding a bike have to do with being an engineer? What does riding a backward bike have to do with being an engineer, right? This is a waste of time. So that's the format of this. So what's the next speed bump, right? In our journey across here, that was the relate speed bump. Let's go to stumble and then work through. So for the stumble speed bump, what are some of the things I see and the perspectives I see at play in the backward bike video? So you can review these. I'm not going to read them all to you, but these are the observations from the video. And then, okay, well, if I'm stumbling, what are some of the tangles? Gee, I'm stumbling a lot. How many times am I going to have to do this? I don't think I'm going to get good enough, fast enough. there's this expectation that I got to ride the bike and I'm not going to get there fast enough. What about the more tangle? Well, when I'm stumbling and I'm falling off the bike, I don't know what approaches I need to take. There's no book on this. So where am I going to get information? What else can I learn by doing? How am I going to triangulate? How do I get the information I need? I just, there's a difference there in actually doing it versus learning about it. And then a control tangle might pop up. But why do I need to stumble at all? That's stupid. I should just be able to jump on the bike and do it. I don't know why this has taken me so many attempts, and I could beat myself up with the control tangle. Why is this taking me this many attempts today? Why is this taking me more than one day? Why is this taking me a week? Why is this taking me a month? Why is this taking me 6 months? Right? A lot of control tangle. Dustin might say, well, I can't get this right no matter how much I try, so I'm out, because he has this short-term expectation about getting it right. Everybody's laughing at me or talking about me, and I don't like it. And so I'm the butt of the joke. I could think that. Or people aren't engaging because they're telling me that I'm doing it wrong. I could say when I'm stumbling and falling off the bike, the waist tangle is, well, this isn't working. It's not making an impact. I'm out. Or I'm not getting any positive reaction from anybody. I'm not getting any positive feedback. This is a waste of time. And why should I stumble and put this effort in to stumbling? All right, the next journey here is choose. So that's the next speed bump. What happens with choose? Here's the things that I saw in the video. So what kind of tangles does Dustin have or might he have? And what can I relate to with tangles? Well, when I'm choosing and I'm choosing to opt in and I'm making these trade-off decisions, do I have time to make those trade-off decisions? What are the actual trade-offs? And what's the return on investment for those in my time? What other information do I need in order to go all in? What do I need to make a call about choosing to do this backward bike and sticking with it? What do I need what do I think needs to actually happen to ride this bike versus what am I doing? What gaps do I see? What happens when I tackle these root cause challenges of, hey, I'm trying to figure out how to ride the backward bike? It causes me to lose control. The bike feels like the bike is in control, not me. The situation's in control, not me. So how does that work? How do I overcome that tangle? What choice am I making and what choices are others making? What's the difference between what I'm doing and what everybody else is doing? And how do I rationalize that? Because what I'm doing is riding a bike and the rest of the world isn't even riding a bike. I'm the only person in the world riding a bike. So, why do I have an expectation of being right? Well, that's my right tangle though, because I don't see that I'm the only person in the world trying to do it. I see that I'm on a bike looking stupid and everybody thinks it's a normal bike. But they're not being curious enough to explore what's wrong with my bike. They think I'm wrong. And that's a problem because that's a tangle. How do I say, yeah, it doesn't matter. Keep going. And then waist tangle, what do I want versus what do I need? I think I want to figure out how to get this over with as fast as possible. What do I need is I need to do the learning by doing over time to figure it out. What happens when I act and engage in this new thing? How does it push back? I mean, we're doing something new on this backward bike. It will push back against me, it feels like. So is that a waste of time or is that a growth opportunity, right? How do I rationalize that and overcome the waist tangle when I'm choosing to learn the backward bike or choosing to learn something different and, choosing to do this during the time that I did with the detanglers, right? I had to keep making that choice over and over again. It wasn't one and done. It was a constant everyday choice to keep doing it. And, putting that time in, realizing I don't have all the information I need, realizing that I'm not in control of the detangler and letting go of that control, things like that. All right, the try phase. That's the next phase that I'm putting here. I changed it to test actually. Let me change this. So this is test. Testing, test, and I'm testing it out, trying it out. I think I'm trying throughout. So this is more of a test phase where it's more about figuring out what's working and what's not working. So what are the tangles when I'm testing? Well, I'm testing, to do these tests. What am I learning in the time that I'm spending, and how do I maximize the test time, right? Let's say I only have 2 minutes to try something or to test this out. What do I do in that 2 minutes out of my day? The more tangle when I'm testing something out. What does progress look like? What is this idea of adjustment? What does it mean to continually try and learn and test and learn and make little adjustments? What am I hearing and seeing in this test phase versus what everybody else is doing who are not testing? They're doing the status quo. They're doing what they've always done. So my tests don't even compute. What do I do with that? Because that's a more tangle. What more information can I share? The control tangle. What happens when I test in front of others and I do this authentically? How do I know if I'm on the right track when I'm testing and trying these new things? How do I let go of that and just embrace the now and be in the now? Well, when I'm testing, I'm going to get it wrong. Well, what's the worst that can happen? That's the right tangle. What's the worst that can really happen if I fall off the bike? What's the worst that can really happen if somebody sees me trying to ride the bike? What does it mean to actually make progress? Because the progress is in the testing. The progress is in the struggle. What's the difference between what I'm trying to do versus what other people are trying to do? What if I'm the only one testing, and do I get a return on that investment or the return on trying? What's my return on trying and testing? And then what am I accomplishing? And can I see what's happening as I do that? And then on the commit piece, this is towards the end of the journey. There's only one step after this in the video. He's going through this idea of, look, it's working, it's looking, I can feel my brain changing. And he's committing to the process even more to say this is possible. And this what's possible commitment, I can get tangled in that and say, well, what's the time commitment, man? Look at how much time I've put in. At the end of this, I'm just going to be riding a bike, or I'm going to be the only person in the world who can do this. What is it? What's the big deal? I mean, if I'm the only person in the world who can do it after spending all this time, isn't this a waste because I'm the only person that can do it? What's the value of me doing that? What's the value of this journey? Right? That's the waste and the time tangle. The more tangle is what happens when I continue to commit. What do I do in order to let go of what I've already known? How do I come to grips with this? It ain't what I don't know that gets me into trouble. It's what I know for sure that just ain't so. What do I commit to drive the future state? How do I embrace the journey of the future state, understanding I can't control the activities and actions of everybody? And then, if I think about it differently, what's the environment that I'm creating, and how do I align to the executives, and what's their definition of control versus mine, and other people that I'm doing this with? Right tangle. So on the control tangle, back to Dustin, this would be everybody else is watching. Who's in the camp of expecting or wanting to see this experiment and supporting it based on the environment that he's creating, versus those that are judging and they've never rode a bike before. That's the control tangle. On the right, what happens? What does it mean to get it right versus just get it done? What happens when I commit to the future state and I actually drive it? These are questions that come out in the backward bike journey. All right, and the last one, Dustin shared, and he's sharing his perspective with the people in Amsterdam. There's actually a lot of tangles there too. Like, how do I get people to pay attention? How do I get people to not laugh at me. You know, when people give me the feedback, they didn't believe me that I didn't know how to ride a bike. He got pissed at that. You know, and instead of them being curious. What happens when I share information and they have questions that are kind of irrelevant questions to the journey? What techniques do I need to factor in everybody's perspective, and how do I organize information and prioritize the information and the inputs I'm getting about the process, the journey, the struggles I've had? What are the experiences that matter? And how does that experience relate to what I'm doing? And what are the actions that lead to the most impact? And how do I know? Right. These are challenges, and each one of these steps, these speed bumps, all have to do with, you know, putting myself out there and putting myself out there to relate, putting myself out there to stumble, putting myself out there when I choose to do the new, putting myself out there when I'm testing, putting myself out there when I make a commitment, putting myself out there and sharing what I've learned. All of these are putting myself out there, which is a source of tangles. And doing something new and putting myself out there requires a lot of discipline. So from the discipline conundrum, you know, Catalyst shared that knowledge and understanding can lead to, you know, performance and action and kind of adopting a new way of working. And if that knowledge and understanding shifts by overcoming these speed bumps and we detangle along the way, we gain a new perspective. We need to get a new definition of what reality is. We change and address our biases. We can overcome negative expectations, but we can also lean into growth expectations and figure out what our principles that we need to lean forward with and gain new empathy, because we've done the learning by doing. And we've overcome these speed bumps, and we've engaged in this process, which allows us to be more creative, more engaged, and allow us to learn to do something new. And you know, that's the power of detangling, to think through how do we react. And for me, when I do my you know, detangling journey, one of the biggest challenges I have is just what's my tangles in relating to the something new. And to me, it's a control thing, massive on the front end. And it was interesting going through this process. This is the biggest barrier I have, is just the initial one of relating to the something new. But as I was documenting along the way here, I think, you know, this is where Catalyst spends a lot of his time, is on the share. And so I can see a journey through these charts and graphs along the way, that getting to these four over here, the tangles are more about, you know, taking the action, where these upfront tangles seem to be more about just embracing something that's new, you know, like it's this idea that, hey, there's something new, you want to try it? And it's that hell no kind of feeling. And I'm strong on that on the front end. But once I get going, and I see, as I plotted these out, my own detangling journey, I stumbled. I had to choose and re-choose and re-choose and re-choose and retest and retest and retest and recommit and recommit, recommit, share, 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 share. Each of these is a continual process. It's not a one and done in order to ride the backward bike. And that's where the learning happens. So that's the detangling journey, using the backward bike, and the tangles I see along phases of what Dustin went through. And then I shared a little bit about how the Dustin journey of jumping on the backward bike and learning it as he goes and learning by doing is the same journey. It feels like the same journey I went through on the detangler work that I went through. So that's connecting the dots and leading with me and having courage to share, and also trusting the process. As I said at the beginning, this whole detangler here is in reaction to what Catalyst had shared in an ask that he had. And I can see the learning that I did through this process of today, of building this detangler today. I see all these tangles playing out, and they're becoming a lot more concrete this way. So I'd love to hear what you think about that. All right, take care.